Jai Sitaram. Let me extend a very warm and cordial welcome to each and every one of you this morning. It is so lovely to see so many persons here, and I had to look twice to consider whether I was at Mandir or at some political gathering, because the colors are all adorned in yellow in tribute to that upcoming event that will take place this week of the Pran Pratishtha of Ram Lila, and indeed that consecration of that Mandir, the Murti, in Ram Janmabhoomi. It is indeed a wonderful occasion, one for which we all as Hindus must be justly and rightly proud, for the right reasons, obviously. And this morning our service is dedicated in that vein, as we will come to see. So our footsteps having led us here to the Mandir, I invite us all to now stand as we engage in invocation, mantra, in pratna, and indeed as we immerse ourselves in the presence of Bhagwan this morning. Let us assume that position of reverence, that position, that prayerful attitude and demeanor as we gaze at the murtis before us, whichever form you find most endearing, whichever form you find most appealing. Allow your gaze to rest on that particular form of God. And as you close your eyes, visualize yourself in His presence as we engage now in pratna. Hari Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswate Namaha. Om Shri Guru Charana Kamalebhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samamprabha. Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvara. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swadha Namostute. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Mandir Jagadguru. Nagindraharaya Trilochanaya Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shuddhaya Digambaragaya Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandramabhedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Namaha. Om Manojavam Marutatulia Vegyam Jetindriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanadiyutamukam Shri Ramadutam Shirashi Namami. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Betiye, let's resume our seats. We engage now in Ganesh Bhajan to be followed by Hanuman Chalisa. So we'll invite members of the group to lead us now. Invite you all to join together, blend your voices, sing and glorify Bhagwan.
Jai Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganapati, Jai Jai, Jai Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganapati, Jai Jai. Ganapati Vigna Vinashana Hari, Ganapati Vigna Vinashana Hari, Ganapati Vigna Vinashana Hari, Ganapati Vigna Vinashana Hari. Jai Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganapati, Jai Jai. गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे जय जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय मोदक लेत देत जननी जब तुमक चलत नूपुर झनकारे मोदक लेत देत जननी जब तुमक चलत नूपुर झनकारे रिद्धि सिद्धि दो छवर दुलावत रिद्धि सिद्धि दो छवर दुलावत सुर समूह लघि होत सुखारे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे जय जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय 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 गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय 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 गणेश जय गणपति जय 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 गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय. As we continue with Kirtan, again, members of the group leading us, Hanuman Chalisa, we invite us all on this very auspicious occasion, this very auspicious time, that we join together in rendering these powerful and wonderful verses in tribute to Mabiyada Swami. We recognize his omniscience and his omnipotence, his majesty, his grace, his strength, his courage and intellect. Let us all join together and blend our voices.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधार बरनो रघुवर बिमल जसु जो दायक फल चार बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरन विराज सुवेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केत बोलो जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिवे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिवे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बस बोलो जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंका रामचंद्र के काज सवारे, गाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हर्ष उर लाए, रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाए, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाए। जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान, जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान। सहस बदन तुम्हरो यश गावे, हस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे, सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद शारद सहित अहिसा, यम कुबेर दिगपाल चाहते, कवि को विधि कही सके कहाते, तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपर दीन्हा। जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान, जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना, युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर पल जानु, प्रभु मुद्रिका मेरि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघ गए अचरज नाही, दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे ते। बोलो जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान, जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे, सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपै, तीनों लोक हाथ के कांपै, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुना। बोलो जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान, जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान। नासै रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा, संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान, जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान। चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुआरे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान, जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान। तुम्हारे भजन राम को भावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे, अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा। जय हनुमान हनुमान श्री हनुमान भवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप बोलो जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान राम भक्त जय जय हनुमान राम भक्त जय जय हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान श्री हनुमान
प्रेम से बोले श्री महावीर स्वामी की जय. Ladies and gentlemen, devotees of God all, we know that this week upcoming and even started already, there's this wonderful occasion that is being observed in Ayodhya, and indeed the world over. We too here at the Mandir take the opportunity to join in remembering that wonderful occasion of the avatar of Vishnu Bhagwan, Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki. And as we come today this morning to welcome him, we invite you all to stand as members of the group will engage in wonderful kirtan. Let us all stand as we welcome Prabhu Shri Ram to our hearts, to our minds, and indeed let us welcome their presence here at our Mandir.
रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो राम लक्ष्मण जनक दुलारी राम राम लक्ष्मण जनक दुलारी राम लक्ष्मण जनक दुलारी हनुमान संघाने आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो हनुमान संघाने आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो माता सुमित्रा आरती उतारे माता सुमित्रा आरती उतारे सुमित्रा आरती उतारे माता सुमित्रा आरती उतारे दयानंद मीरा बहाए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो दयानंद मीरा बहाए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो बोलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो धूप दीप नैवेद्य चढ़ाती धूप दीप नैवेद्य चढ़ाती धूप दीप नैवेद्य चढ़ाती धूप दीप नैवेद्य चढ़ाती उनके चरण पधारे चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो उनके चरण पधारे चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो
रामा अयोध्या में आए चलो रे सखी राम से मिलो. रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्रमभीरसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताये पतये नमः. प्रेम से बोले श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री सीता माता की जय, श्री महावीर स्वामी की जय. May you resume your seats. I'll invite our characters Prabhu Shri Ram, Lakshman Bhaiya, Hanumanji, to be comfortable where you are. You'll be standing for a little bit yet. And I hand to the podium our brother Jamwant Maharaj, who will speak a little bit this morning about this wonderful event and leading up to what was something that was an annual event looked forward to by indeed all of us. And that is the Ram Leela celebrations that would have been hosted at the Robbins Recreation Park in Knox Street. And it was something that all of the young people and all of the children would have been involved in, making a very memorable and lasting impression on their minds and indeed on their entire demeanor and their awareness as Hindus, as young Hindu boys and girls. So I hand over now to Jamanji.
Sitaram devotees, I would like to, together with Pandit, glad to see so many of you all who are here and will be observing, not Ram Leela, but as we see today, the Ram Leela is going to be started back, right? So I was asked by Panditji to say a few words dealing with the history of the Ram Leela in San Fernando. Right, so notice I'm talking about the history of Ram Leela in San Fernando, not in the country. Okay, in the year 1999, we, in the area where I live, that's Hickton Street, that's very close to here, we had an existing sports group called the Knox Street Sports and Cultural Association. And we were involved mainly in playing football and cricket and table tennis and so forth, right? However, few members of that cultural and sports group, were also members of the temple. That's myself and my brothers and some other devotees, right? And we had a little meeting in the year 1999. I can remember that because it was my mother's home. And we sat in the porch, and my elder brother said, look now, why we don't get into some more cultural activities rather than just the sporting activities? So right away, the Ram Leela came to our mind because, living in San Fernando, we had to go to the rural areas to observe Ram Leela. And as a young boy, I never had the opportunity of playing Ram Leela. But I always had the urge when I go to see Ram Leela, so I wish I could really be a part of the crew. So we decided to have the Ram Leela, right? So in the year 1999, I think it was around November, we had a program at our temple here to initiate the Ram Leela. Then we involved a Pandit who is now deceased, Pandit Yuchan Budan, to ask to train us because he had experience in Ram Leela in his area in Rambat, and he actually came, sacrificed his own Ram Leela in Rambat and came to help us in San Fernando, and so we got this start. Right, we practiced what I had done. I came to the Mandir here and I had appealed to the devotees to come out, right, and join us at the meeting to have the celebration, right? And I also remember going around to the various schools in San Fernando. I personally went, I spoke to I identified which teachers are involved in the propagation of Sanatana Dharma in their school. And I asked them and said, now we're going to start the Ram Leela. We want to get students, right? And at that time, being at Narpima College, obviously I had to turn to my boys. In fact, we have a few of them here, right? If I ask you to stand up, these are some of the initial persons who, who I had appealed to because they were part of the Indian Cultural Club at Narpima College, and they all came and they brought other students with them. Okay, you can take a seat, right? And for many, many years, these persons, these young boys, right, they participated in the Ram Leela. We also had Pandit Surendra, who was also part of the crew at that time. Sorry, Pandit, Doctor, yes, right, at that time he was also part of the crew, together with probably some other persons here that I probably can't I remember because it's so long ago. But the Ram Leela really went from strength to strength, right? And after some time we stopped, and I remember my brothers and myself and other members of the committee said that, we did it for quite a few years, and we are hoping that someone else carry it on. Right? Right? Well, it was done at the Mandir here for a few years, and then afterwards, I believe COVID came and things shut down. So I was told by my brother in the week that our Ramlila is going to commence, right? And I am very, very happy that we can start back the Ramlila. And okay, we have, I think, some young directors this year who have volunteered. That is Mitra, right? And his wife Mala. I think they are going to spearhead the Ramlila celebration at the temple. The only thing is, yesterday I was discussing with Marley, and I tell him, I say, he said he was going to have it in, you all are going to have it in the temple, right? So I asked him, I said, well, why not on the grounds, right? Because that is where we had started, and I always like to see where there's much more space on the ground, except that on the Knox Street ground, there's a lot of preparation that is involved. Right? The same preparation that he will do for 1 day of Ramlila is the same preparation for 3 days or for 7 days. Right? So I personally would like to see if we can go back to the ground, but it all depends on the type of cooperation we have among those who are interested in reintroducing Ramlila in San Fernando. Right? Certainly, I will whatever assistance I can give to Mitra and Marla and the other members of the committee, all you have to do is to ask me, and I will be there, right, to give whatever advice. I still have a lot of information. I have video clips of the Ramlila that was held in San Fernando, right, where these boys were very, very young. Mitra actually started in the Ramlila, okay, in the year 2000, and actually, he acted the role of a doctor, right? The doctor who brought the herb, okay, to save Lakshman, right? And Mitra is today actually a doctor, right? I actually looked up in some of the things that I kept, and I was able to give him, I said, Mitra, this is the first prescription you wrote when you were 5 years old, right? And I give it to him, I said, you keep this, right? Okay, and so we move from strength to strength, and as I said, unfortunately, we had the pandemic and so forth, and I'm very happy that it is going to be restarted, and I will certainly offer any kind of assistance that I could. Okay, probably my ideas are now outdated, but we have younger ones here, and who really came through as young boys, and they are able to propel the Ramlila, okay, to a further height than probably we were able to do. So I'll be looking forward for you all doing that. Right, so Mitra and Amral and Mala and so forth, I want to see that you all really bring out a production that is superior to what we had in the past. Right, so I wish you all the best, and once more, Sitaram, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jaman. And this is a tangible for us here in San Fernando on this Mandir, the relationship that we enjoy with Ramcharitmanas. Not only do we offer puja to that very holy scripture, but in more than that, we actually allow our children and our young people to be involved in immersing themselves and to participate in a very meaningful way so that they understand the katha itself, but they also understand the philosophy and lessons, and that is as meaningful a tribute as we can get as we go into this celebration. Some of the costumes that you are seeing on stage are costumes from the Ramlila themselves that have been designed and produced and prepared, and we have accompanying Prabhu Shri Ram, Sita Mata, Lakshman Bhai and Hanumanji, the villagers of Ayodhya who are there. Give the villagers a round of applause. And I'll ask, as the members of the group render Ramayan Sumiran at this point, so they will render Ramayan Sumiran, and as they do so, very slowly, because I saw the characters were racing up to the stage when they were coming down, so take it down by 20 kilometers. And very slowly, they will now take their leave as the verses of Ramayan Sumiran are being chanted. Prem se bole Shri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. Hang on, I will give you the cue when you start the journey back to Ramabhumi. Yes.
Jo sumirat siddhi ho, Gananayak करिवर बदन करहु अनुग्रह सोय बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदन मूक होई वाचा पंगु चढ़े गिरिवर गहना जासु कृपा सुदया द्रवहु सकल कलिमल दहना नील सरो श्याम तरुण अरुण वाणी जनयना करहु सुमम उड़धाम सदा क्षीर सागर शयना कुंदहिंदु समदे उमारमण करुणायना जाहि दीन परने करहु कृपा मरदन मयना बंदो गुरु परकंज कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि महामोह तम पूंज जासु वचन रवि कर निकर जहि सुमिरत सिद्धि हो गणनायक करिवर बदना करहु अनुग्रह सोय बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना।
प्रेम से बोले श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय. I now invite the teachers of the children's class, the Balvihar class, to take the children down. Their activity today again will be focused on the Pran Pratishta ceremony that will be taking place in Ayodhya and the celebration of the return of Shri Ram to Ram Janmabhoomi. So as the children take their leave, we join together shortly in just chanting Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. Bolo Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. Sinu sat sang bibekan hoi Ram kripa binu sulaban soi. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. Prem se bole Shri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. So for many of us this year we have been introduced to the grand celebrations that are currently taking place in India because the Vedic rituals have started already. The consecration of the Murti of Prabhu Shri Ram in his youthful form, baby form, Ram Lila, will be taking place this week in accordance with ancient traditions and rituals. And a couple of weeks ago, Pandit Devendra traced the importance of this occasion historically and from a jurisprudential point of view with respect to the legalities that were involved, the conflict that took place, the history of what took place, and the conclusion, hopefully, of this long-standing issue that has now been hopefully resolved once and for all. We in this country, as well as many persons in the diaspora, are joining together in marking this most significant occasion. I read just yesterday that devotees as far as Sydney, Australia, themselves are also and have also engaged in this celebration. In that city there was a car rally and there were other events that were being hosted to celebrate the occasion, but also being used for sensitization and awareness. In this country, and we've seen a little depiction this morning, likewise there is that participation and celebration, and throughout the airwaves and media we've been invited to do many things. Various mandirs and organizations are having different types of celebrations that you're all invited to take part in. And this is not limited, as I said, to just India and Trinidad and Tobago. It is occurring in many places across the world. One may ask the question, we've been invited to light diyas to mark the occasion. One gentleman said, well, they could give us a holiday too. And I just smiled when I heard that. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And I think if that is the expectation, then we've lost the message. But it really reminds us in terms of this celebration and what it should mean to us. And that's what I want to spend a little bit about this morning. Binu Satasanga Bibekana Hui, the gathering together of persons of like-minded and noble nature, and the benefit of that in terms of fulfillment of our own duties here while we are on this physical journey, as well as the aspirations that we would have towards attaining oneness with God. Starting from a very basic concept of who is Prabhu Shri Ram. So this morning we saw Devesh here, and so if you were to ask some of the little children in the Balvihar class, who is Shri Ram? They might say Devesh, which is right. Nothing is wrong with that. Who is Lakshman Bhaiya? Kavish, right? Who is Sita Mata? Ashwarya. Who is Hanumanji? Aditya. And nothing is wrong with that. These young people are portraying the role, as Jamant has quite eloquently explained, that is set out and that is portrayed, again, nationally in terms of the Ram Leela. And that is why it's very important for us to encourage, and I would urge everyone to give your full support in terms of your time, your energy, your resources to ensure that this comes to fruition, because as Jamon quite rightly explained, that is not anyhow you do it, whether it's in one day or several days. It requires a lot of effort and a lot of preparation. And sometimes people say when you engage in these types of activities, and teachers would bear me out, when you put your all into something, sometimes you do not immediately see the rewards of your efforts. But years later, that seed that you would have planted, in fact, reaps the rewards, and it is quite rightly illustrated by Jamant. And just using Mitra as an example, because he's right within my line of sight. He was a young man who was involved in the Ram Leela, among other things, culturally and religiously as well, and grew up in that mold and maintains that. And now the cycle repeats himself from a young Sushendra writing his first prescription to now an actual medical doctor writing real prescriptions, right? He's not known as Dr. Sampat anymore, right? For those of you who are familiar with the narrative of the Ram Leela being portrayed. And so it is with many other persons. Kiran is here. He was one who portrayed Hanumanji. Dr. Surendra also portrayed Hanumanji and other characters as well. And many others who are here portraying various roles. Vasudha is here and others who are here and that kind of thing. So when one asks the question of who is Shri Ram, for us as Hindus, we must be very clear in our mind that Shri Ram is the seventh avatar of Vishnu Bhagwan. And this morning we perform puja to Satnarayan Swami, another form of Vishnu Bhagwan. This Mandir, the Krishna Mandir, another form, Shri Krishna, of Vishnu Bhagwan. That avatar that we are told that embodies Bhagwan himself, embodying himself from time to time, from age to age, for the restoration of Dharma. And if we just think about that alone, we might think unequivocally, well, now is about the right time for Prabhu Sri Ram or Vishnu Bhagwan to take avatar again, because there seems to be so many things that are wrong in our community, in our country, and indeed in this world, that we really do need that divine intervention to restore us. So for Hindus, for us as Hindus, when we think of Prabhu Sri Ram, it must be that we recognize that this is Bhagwan himself. And once we recognize that and believe that, which we ought to, without any doubt, then the importance of this event, the importance of this mandir, the importance of this celebration, as Prabhu Sri Ram is once more welcomed into Ram Janmabhoomi, is something that we should all appreciate. Why? Because like all traditions, our aspirations are sometimes predicated on something that is tangible. Something that is tangible. If you were to tell a child, well, you need to go to school and get an education, there's nothing tangible there. And so it is that interest might not be as genuine and as enthusiastic as it should be. But you tell a child, go to school, and one day you will pass your examination. So, passing of examinations is something tangible. And more than passing the examinations, you will be able to be appropriately qualified. Again, something tangible. And then beyond that, you will be able to secure a meaningful job that gives you some level of fulfillment and the ability to live and to engage in a livelihood. Again, something that is tangible. And this is merely on the physical and material plane. From a spiritual point of view, if you were to tell someone, close your eyes and think of God, one can only imagine where this mind, as powerful and as chanchal as it is, will take us in terms of that perception. Where will it take us? And regardless of the fact that as Hindus we have been very often accused, and I use the word unashamedly, we have been accused of worshipping idols. That is furthest thing from the truth. The murtis that we gaze at are symbols or icons that allow us to focus our mind on a reality, not something that is fictitious or imaginary. It is a reality. And every tradition, without exception, relies on symbols. For the Catholics, when they close their eyes, they think of Jesus Christ, they think about the cross, they think about the Virgin Mary, and most Christian traditions have a like type of inclination. For Muslim brothers and sisters as well, similar expressions of what is important in Mecca and so on, and the ability to focus on that. So as Hindus, we are in fact no different. What is different is that some may say the plethora of forms can make it confusing, but I say to you, the plethora of forms of that Ekam Sat, that one truth, makes it very user-friendly for all devotees, because every person here sitting next to each other has different inclinations, different demeanors, different dispositions, different vasanas, we would say. And so when you close your eyes, for many of you, you may see Shankar Bhagwan, or you may focus on that form. For other persons, they may close their eyes and they may focus on Sri Krishna. For other persons, they may close their eyes and focus on Devi Mata. That doesn't mean anyone is superior to the other. The essential truth remains the same, but our inclinations, our own needs, desires, and aspirations are different. And so our rishis and munis have recognized that and have catered for those differences while remaining grounded in the same truth. And so it is that the removal of that historical place of birth of Prabhu Sri Ram from the whole psyche of Hindus, and the unfortunate construction of a mosque to further compound the issue, was something that Hindus, particularly those in India, found very disconcerting. because this is the birthright and birthplace of Prabhu Shri Ram. That meaning, that tangible meaning that I spoke about, is something that is profound. And in other cultures and in other traditions, we can only imagine the vigor with which a trespass like that would have been defended. So many people would say, well, there was violence. And the answer is yes. Was that prescribed? The answer is no. But there are times when our scriptures say to us that we need to stand firm. You ever wondered why it is that Prabhu Shri Ram, wherever he went, always carried that dhanush? That bow and those arrows that were in his quiver? You ever considered why it is that that was so? And one needs to ask the question of the meaning behind that symbolism. In the same way that holy persons would sometimes carry that dand being that stick of dharma, or that staff of righteousness, if you want to put it in a different form. It means for us that sometimes when we are threatened, when our very way of belief is threatened, that we need to stand firm. We need to stand strong. We need to stand united. And it is when we engage in that way, with a direct sense of purpose that is steeped in dharma, where we stand collectively together for a unified purpose, then we cannot be defeated. And we will be able to repel all adharma and all atrocities. So on an individual level, it is important for us to know who Sri Ram is, to know the katha that has been related by Valmiki Ji Maharaj and repeated by Tulsidas Ji Maharaj. And that is the importance for our young people in knowing that narrative and knowing that katha, knowing that story, because then familiarity sets in. But we must never stop at that point, because that is like an infant learning to creep. For adults, we know that that creeping is just an initial part of a process to lead us to where we want to go, and that is walking and running. And in the same way, spiritual development goes beyond than mere familiarity with the katha. It requires us to know what is the katha trying to convey in terms of a message. And our pundits and purohits of yore would have given us the literals. They would have given us the literals about this is what it means, that you must fast on this day. Today is Ekadashi, by the way. Fast on today, and this is what you should eat for this Ekadashi, and this is what you should not eat, and so on. But what was sometimes missing was the answer to why. But for us as younger people, and I'm speaking about my generation and before, I'm not talking about millennials and Gen Zs and so on, because I'm none of those. I'm talking about the old heads. I'm now one of those. For us, it was sufficient to get from our elders, do this, because our scriptures say so, full stop. And by and large, we did. But now for our younger people, that's not sufficient. Now you tell them, do this, and the first question that comes out is, why? And so it is important for us to firstly recognize that our scripture and our practices affords an answer to the why. So any question you could ask, there is the answer for it. And it is important for us to have the answers, because then when our dharma and our beliefs are being questioned, we know the answers. We know the explanations, and we are able to respond. But more than that, there's a rationale for our belief. There's a rationale for our tradition. And that is what is beautiful about it, that we can explain what we do. And therefore, that symbolical bow and arrow that recognizes and portrays that symbol of strength and steadfastness can be done in that way, because we have strengthened our mind individually. We have strengthened our mind at a Mandir level. We have strengthened our mind at a community level as Hindus, as Sanatanist Hindus, and we can therefore stand in defense of our dharma. Sometimes it requires us to do a bit more. And so it is, the citizens in India went further. And I do not for one moment condone any violence in any form or any fashion. But I want to focus on what they did further. What they did further to arrive at this goal was to take the matter before the courts of India and to persist over years in having that matter dealt with until a resolution. And the stated purpose then was that regardless of the outcome, they would stand by the outcome. And that is what our dharma teaches us. That we must use all available dharmic resources to defend our position and ourselves. And so I'm saying this in the context not only of the celebration of Ram Janmabhoomi, which is important, but I'm saying this in the context of Hindus in Trinidad and Tobago, that we ourselves are under threat. Very often we don't understand, our children don't understand why we do certain things and hold certain beliefs. And as a result of that, the pull away from Hinduism is a very real one. And it is unfortunate because very often the full cycle comes around many years later, having sacrificed that great tradition for something else. You then come back recognizing that that something else was not fulfilling, and you come right back home. And so to avoid that gap in the process, it's important for us as parents, as grandparents, as guardians, to bring your children to Mandir. Have them attend the Bal Vihar class. For our youngsters to engage in the various programs and initiatives. Attend the Bhagavad Gita class. Engage in the practices that are being prescribed by Pandit Devendra. Listen to the discourses that are delivered by him and others. And more than that, when you get home, reinforce what is being done and speak about it. So when the little ones come and say, Mom and Dad, this is what I did in Bal Vihar class, and they show you a picture or a craft, or they're saying a bhajan, or they're saying a prayer, encourage them. Discuss it with them, because that's where the reinforcement comes. And that is the steadfastness and defense of our dharma that is portrayed by Prabhu Shri Ram and that bow and that arrow. For us, that symbolism should be very real and should be very meaningful. That history that is captured in our scriptures is very real. Very often as Hindus, we are accused of saying that is something that is mystical. It is unreal. It is not something that could ever have happened, and it is wrong. And once we derive our strength from that knowledge, and the science is there. Pandit Dev spoke about recently NASA's finding of that bridge and the naming it of Adam's Bridge. Our scriptures spoke about that. That is a tangible reality. A devotee from this mandir visited India recently, went there, and he said you would not believe the feeling you get from just being in that presence, or being in the presence of that particular physical location. Think about it now for the citizens in India, the visitors, the thousands and tens of thousands who are going to Ayodhya, that kind of euphoria, that kind of re-energization, and that reawakening and renewal of belief and the power of that. And it is not blind faith. Ours is a dharma that does not preach violence, but it preaches about standing firm. And so for us, we may be under threat from various quarters, like most other people in this country. And so it is important for you and for us all to do those things that will preserve ourselves and our dharma. And the Ram Leela is one of them. At a physical level, there is crime that is rampant in this country. Rampant. There are crime symposium being held all over. And people are being invited to come and talk about crime. Nothing wrong with that. You need an opportunity to vent. But you know what? Performance beats old talk every time. And all of the talk and talk and talk and talk and beating it to death is not getting us anywhere in terms of crime. With the greatest of respect to our Honorable Prime Minister, putting another $100 million in the hands of the Defense Force and saying, that is the solution for crime, is an ostrich burying his head in the sand. So how will crime, which is something that is relevant to us, how will that be solved? By the various steps that every individual and family ought to take in their homes first. In their homes first. And there are different things that must be done in parallel. You must fix home. You must fix yourself. If you can't fix yourself, you can't fix anybody else. And when you start there, yes, there are other short-term things that should be done. Why is it that our borders are so porous? Why is it that the Coast Guards don't have the appropriate vessels to intercept persons? Why is it that our custom officers are looking elsewhere when there are drugs and illegal counterfeiting before them? Why is it that everybody is talking about the big fish that is now about the size of a whale, but nobody can catch that person? Why is that? We don't have the answers, we don't have the solution. Throwing another $100 million will solve it. The answer is no. So in the short term, there are things that can and ought to be done that requires the leadership to do it. It also requires that unity. And so when we called upon for United Against Crime, and we had our motorcade last year, it was exactly that there should be a bipartisan approach to the solving of crime. I want you to ask yourself, is what is going on right now in this country? Every party and every leader have their 2 cents to say, and there's no unity, and therefore there will not be the solution to crime that we want to have. So it must start from the ground up. The ground up. And I call on citizens, when you go to these forums, you know what is one of the things you should say to solve crime? Unity. Because nothing else will happen without unity. Nothing else will happen that is meaningful and good without unity. We've seen it in Ramayana. It is when Prabhu Shri Ram united with Sugriv and the Vanars that they were able to accomplish their objective. That unity is illustrated time and time again in our scriptures. I could go on for several hours because I'm very passionate about this topic, but I'll stop. So as we celebrate with the rest of the world Ram Janmabhoomi, let us light our diyas. Let us teach our children the importance of the event. But more than that, the greatest celebration and the greatest tribute would be to put the teachings of Ramcharitmanas and Prabhu Shri Ram, the ideal leader, the ideal son, the ideal brother, the ideal husband, the ideal friend. We should inculcate those values and those ideals in ourselves, in our children, in our families, and in our community. That is the greatest tribute, and that is the greatest legacy. So I encourage us all, slowly but surely, make those incremental decisions that will allow us to develop those ideals within us and in our family. Prem se bole Shri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. Let's all now come forward, offer your arati. Those of you who've done so already, that's fine. Those of you who haven't, you now come forward and offer your arati as members of the group engage in kirtan. Please join and sing with them as they engage.
श्री राम तुम्हारी मंदिर में मैं दीप जलाने आया हूँ। श्री राम तुम्हारी मंदिर में मैं दीप जलाने आया हूँ। श्री राम तुम्हारी मंदिर
श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
धूम मचाए ऐसे 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 धूम मचाए।
सुन कर आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए। सुन कर आए रघुराए,
श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
गंगा जी आए, यमुना जी आए।
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 त्रिवेणी संगम आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
त्रिवेणी संगम में आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
धूम मचाए ऐसे 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 धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
सुन कर आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
भक्त जनों के घर पावन रे।
भक्त जनों के घर पावन कर।
भक्त जनों के घर पावन कर।
भक्त जनों के घर पावन कर।
आए रे आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
आए आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
धूम मचाए ऐसे 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 धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
दास जनों की यही विनती।
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 चरण कमल बलिहारी, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चरण कमल बलिहारी, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
धूम मचाए ऐसे 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 धूम मचाए।
सुन कर आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
सुन कर आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
सुन कर आए रघुराए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
चले हनुमान यहाँ आए, श्री राम जी के धूम मचाए।
Hare Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram.
Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram.
अयोध्या वासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम अयोध्या वासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम अयोध्या वासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम
पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम.
राम 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 बोलो राम राम राम
राम राम राम बोलो राम राम.
We'll now have our announcements.
Sitaram devotees. First of all, welcome to each and every one of you to our Sunday morning service. Welcome to all the new faces that we have, and for those of you who back with us after some period of absence. We want to wish happy birthday and happy anniversary to anyone who's celebrating their birthdays and anniversaries with this upcoming week. We have 4 birthdays that I know about within the last week and this week. We have Auntie Nadia, who's in front, who's celebrating her birthday. We have Auntie Anjani, who's celebrating her birthday as well. Aditya, who's celebrating his birthday. And Uncle Surin, who has celebrated his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday to all of you. Anyone wishing to make donations, whether it be in cash or kind, to the temple, can see either Uncle Gangadine in the office after service. Anyone wishing to sit for puja on a Sunday morning can also see either Uncle Gangadine or Auntie Rama in the office after service as well. Yoga class will be on Mondays. We have 2 yoga classes on a Monday, one at the downstairs in the annex and one at the upstairs in the annex. So that will be back on from tomorrow as well. So for those of you who are interested in yoga, can come to either one of those classes tomorrow. Gita classes, we have Bhagavad Gita classes by Uncle Anil. He had his class last week right here at the annex. Usually it's on a Thursday at 7 p.m. But usually online. So Uncle Anil is here. If anyone is interested in the Gita class, can speak to him after service and you can join that class. The Jairam family has invited each and every one of us to a 7-night Skyan Yagna in the memory of the late Jairam Gurbin and Sugan Jairam. It is starting from Sunday 21st January to Saturday 27th of January. And officiating will be Pandit Abedinand Prasad Sharma and assisted by Pandit Satnarayan Maharaj. So if anyone is interested, everyone is invited to that 7 nights Bhagavad. It is at number 10 Sitaram Trace, Macaulay Village, Claxton Bay. You can check me after, I have it here. I will give it on the ways after. If you use Google Maps, we can give it on that too. Right, so there was recently, the health minister has noted, and he has said it in the public, that there is an uptick in COVID virus cases and influenza virus cases within the recent past, coming out of Christmas and are we going into carnival season. So there wouldn't be any strict or mandatory protocols that we'll be placing into the temple, but please be mindful of this. If you are sick, please do stay home. Do not come to the temple, do not go to your places of work, etc. The protocols will be the same that we followed during the pandemic: hand washing, hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, you crook off the elbow, don't cough on anybody. The same protocols that we would have been following, sanitizing. The mask wearing will not be mandatory, obviously, but it will be encouraged. If you do want to wear your mask, please feel free to do so. More importantly, with those things is keeping yourself healthy, right? Avoiding the infection is one thing, but if you do pick up the infection, you want to make sure that you're able to fight it off. So make sure you keep yourself healthy. If you have any chronic diseases, make sure you take your medication, make sure it's under control, take your vitamins regularly, make sure you get some exercise, eat clean. Make sure you take care of yourself, because if you do pick up one of these viruses, whether it be COVID or influenza, both have very severe effects on the body. And the only way we could make sure that we are well is taking care of our own body and our own health. We do have Kiran, who came and gave us a pull-out on the tabla here this morning, so thank you very much, Kiran. And Uncle Jamont, who gave us a pull-out on the harmonium. Kiran does have tabla classes on a Thursday right here at the temple at 4:30 and 5:30. yeah, on a Thursday, right here at the temple, from beginners to intermediate classes. So anyone wishing to learn tabla can feel free to see Kiran after, and you could organize to join that class. All right, everyone, have a safe and wonderful week ahead. Sitaram.
We stand for Arti.
आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित गावत ब्रह्मा दिक मुनि नारद वाल्मीक विज्ञान विशारद सुख सनकार शेष हरुषारद भरणी पवन सुत कीरतिनी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की संगत गावत शंभु भवानी अर्हत संभव मुनि विज्ञानी व्यास आदि कवि पुंज बखानी भूसुंद गरुड़ की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की चारहु वेद पुराण अष्टदश चाहु शास्त्र सब ग्रंथन को रस धन मन धन संतन के सर्वस सार अंश सम्मत सब ही आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित सियपी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित
Hari Om. Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari Drava Sudha Sarata Ajira Vihari Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. O Prabhu, we've come before you this morning and offered puja. We've offered our love and our adorations, and we've expressed our gratitude for all that you have given to us. We ask, O Prabhu, for your continued blessing, your continued guidance, your continued inspiration and protection. Please bless us all individually. Bless our collective and respective families. Bless our community, bless our country, and indeed bless all of humanity. You are mother, you are father, you are family, you are friend, you are knowledge, you are wealth, you are everything, O Prabhu. As we come before you in complete surrender, we seek your blessings at all times. We join together, brothers and sisters, in closing prayer. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Cha Seka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Asatu Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय, श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय, श्री सत्यानारायण स्वामी की जय, श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय. Tend those around you. Sab koi Jai Jai Sitaram. Have a very productive and powerful week ahead. May Bhagwan protect us all, and we look forward to seeing you all with us on next Sunday. Jai Sitaram all.